Congratulations! Welcome to Canada. I hope you're doing well. As a follow-up on my previous video with regards to things to do before your departure to Canada, here are things to do once you arrive here. My name is JC, medical doctor in the Philippines, and now an international student here in British Columbia, Canada. Subscribe to my channel if you want to know more about immigration, international student life, and anything about living here in BC. Hopefully, you can accomplish these 9 things within the first week you arrived here in Canada. Social Insurance Number, or SIN, is a 9-digit number used for employment and in getting access to government programs and benefits. You need this in opening some bank accounts and credit cards, as well as when you're going to pay your annual income tax here. There is no fee to apply for an SIN. Now, there are various ways to get your SIN. It can be either by mail, online, or in person. For me, I got mine in person by going to a Service Canada center. You can just Google them for their location and contact number. There are several required documents that you need to submit or present when you do it in person. They should be original, valid, not expired, clear and legible, and of course, in English or in French. The 3 required documents are as follows. The first one is the primary identity document. So I presented my study permit. It must include in the permit the remarks, may accept employment or may work in Canada. The second one is the secondary identity document. That document should contain your legal name, family and given name, and the date of your birth, which may be present in the following. For this one, I presented my passport. Now the last one is optional. For the supporting document, if by any chance your legal name has recently changed and is different from the primary or secondary document you presented, like if you got married or changed your last name, you will need to provide a legal document stating the most recent name used. So I went in person to one of the Canada Service Centers. There might be times that the line might be long, or the center might be understaffed, or their system might be bogged down or slow. So do come early to accommodate possible delays. The officer just asked me questions with regards to my visa and clarified information with the documents I presented to them. He oriented me with regards to the SIN on how it should be held confidential and secured at all times. There are several banking options here in Canada. Some of the well-known banks here are Royal Bank of Canada, the Bank of Montreal, the Bank of Nova Scotia, the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, the National Bank of Canada, HSBC Canada, or TD Canada Trusts. There are several factors to be considered when choosing your bank here in Canada. Most banks charge you monthly fees for maintaining your checking accounts, and the price range may vary between banks. However, some are free. Some banks have charge fees for local and international bank transfers. Some landlords require you to have post-dated checks as monthly payments for rent, or some employers may require you to submit a void check at the beginning of your job so they can have details of your bank account. If you will withdraw from a privately owned ATM or ATMs of other banks, you will be charged an ATM fee in using them. So it will be good if your bank's ATM is either close to your home, school, or workplace. For preference in personal support, this would depend on each individual. Some banks don't have physical bank locations where you can talk to employees face-to-face. Some people much prefer talking in person rather than on the phone if you have concerns with regards to your account. Most of the transactions here in Canada are cashless. so it would be great if your bank has the option in giving one to you. Most banks in Canada have debit cards bundled together when opening new accounts with them. Some credit cards are connected to your bank, and the interest rates, payment plans, and freebies can be factors in considering bank options as well. Approval rates as well, especially for newcomers here in Canada, are much higher if you open a credit card in the same bank you opened and deposited your funds. Most local bank transfers are done using this system, so be sure to know if your bank supports this when opening multiple accounts in different banks. Banks have different offers or promos for students and newcomers, so it might be good to browse on their offers and consider it in choosing your bank of choice as well. With opening bank accounts comes credit card applications as well. Here in Canada, financial institutions will decide if they will lend you money based on your credit score. Your interest rates or how much you can borrow from them will be determined by this 3-digit number. But what's important to note is that your credit score can be used by financial institutions, businesses, or individuals to assess whether they can lend you money, consider you for rental housing, or lower your interest rate. There are many ways to build up your credit score, considering as a new immigrant here in Canada, you'll be starting from a clean slate. A credit card, when used wisely, can be a good medium to monitor and track your expenses and spending habits, which will benefit not just the individuals that I mentioned before, but also yourself. Now, the length of holding credit carries a heavy weight when your credit score is being considered, so it's better to get one once you arrive. Similar to choosing your choice of bank, your phone plan is another thing to consider when you come here. There are several telco service providers here in Canada. Now, the factors to consider when choosing one are as follows. Most of the time, it would be best to consult people who are already living in the area. They would be able to provide a good assessment with regards to the strength of the signal the service provider is able to cover. It would be helpful if you know how much internet data usage you consume per month. This is to ascertain whether you can lower down the monthly data plans you will get, hence a cheaper bill to pay off. Prices may vary with regards to these things, but usually people go with just unlimited local calls and texts. Then for international calls and messages, they just rely on social messaging apps like Facebook Messenger. Bundled promos are also a factor to consider, as this may cheapen up your monthly bills as well. The provincial government of British Columbia has a mandatory medical service plan that provides healthcare coverage for all temporary or permanent residents here in BC. Services include, for example, are the consultations with physicians, hospitalizations, maternity care, diagnostic services, and many more. But the thing with MSP is that it requires a 3-month waiting period before it gets activated. So it would be better to apply as soon as possible once you have landed here in Canada. Application can be online, in person through Service BC locations, or via paper application. I did the less tedious option, which is via online. You will just need the information with regards to your visa, study permit, phone number, and your passport as well. As previously mentioned, MSP coverage will only be activated after 3 months. During this waiting period, it would be a good idea to get private insurance for healthcare coverage if you're worried about your health and don't want to risk it. Some schools actually provide you with this. Like for example, in my school in Douglas College, they tied up with GuardMe, which covers the 3 months waiting period, which I don't have my MSP activated yet. Your British Columbia or BCID is a reliable piece of government photo ID that is considered a primary identification document. Now, to get a BCID, you must be at least 12 years old or older. I did it in person and went to an ICBC office lined up for walk-in individuals. Be wary though that not all ICBC offices cater to processing BCID requests nor walk-ins. So better check their website for that. There is a one-time fee for the issuance of your BCID of 35 Canadian dollars. The Compass card is a transit card used to pay public transportation here in BC. You may use your debit or credit cards or pay in cash or coins when using the public transportation, but it's much cheaper and convenient when using a Compass card. To get one, you can either order online and they can ship it to you, or just go to a London drugstore or any train station and you will see a kiosk or what they call a Compass vending machine, which dispenses these cards. A school ID is considered also an official identification document here in BC. Now, each school would have different requirements or processes in issuing you an ID. So it would be better to consult with your own school if they can provide you with a school ID, what the requirements are, and if there is a fee to be paid. So that's about it. Hope this video was helpful. If I missed anything, please comment down below to help newcomers as well. See you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch more, click here to see my latest video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. A biento!